Welcome everyone. This has been the most frustrating setup for a 3 Ultimate recording that I've ever had. Not only have I been dealing with technical difficulties, I have simultaneously found myself in 3 separate rooms with people who either refuse to hunt with me or that I have had issues with in the past. The current issue is that the only room that I can join at this stage is a room hosted by Geordie, who is someone whom I have kicked in the past for cheating. He literally admitted to cheating and then I kicked him, and now he is saying, I don't want to hunt with you, and refuses to post anything. That's one way of approaching it, instead of just kicking me and eliminating the opportunity for discussion to take place, but still, I don't think we're going to get anywhere. He has emotionlessly stood there saying, I don't want to play with you, Lord. And the result, unfortunately, is a little bit of uncertainty as to whether or not I can even play this game at the moment, because oh my god, let me put it this way. So the first room that I joined was a room with Link. This is the guy who makes a room called Playing with Friends, sits in it alone, and only wants to hunt with people who have female characters so he can hit on them. Okay? He kicked me immediately. Either because he had seen the video that I made shit-talking him, it wasn't a video specifically designed to shit-talk him, I just happened to be in the room with him and was shit-talking him, and it was a video that was picked up by the YouTube algorithm, so maybe he did end up seeing it. So he kicked me from that room, and I thought, well, that's hilarious, I'm going to try another room now. I joined a different room, where the room host posted Descent into Hades with a gathering set equipped and a dragon greatsword. This is Super Stygian Zenoga, and this guy's using a dragon greatsword with a gathering set, and the monster has an incredible amount of health. You know, you need to be optimized, and I essentially refused to join, so I was kicked from the room. I think the other person in the room said you need, or rather, thunder is the weakness, not dragon, and this host is like, do I need to bring thunder? And I said, you need to bring a good set, and your set is not a good set. Immediately kicked. And blocked for saying that. And so, and I wasn't being especially abrasive about it, I was just saying, like, your set is totally inappropriate for this hunt. And so that's that room out of the way. Keeping in mind there aren't many people playing this game at the moment, so it's a bit difficult to be in this situation. Then I joined this room, and Daniel and I are actually both from that previous room with the guy who wanted to do Descent into Hades. That person's name is Lucky. If you ever come across Lucky in this particular game, keep in mind that they are both emotionally unstable and also mentally deficient. Now we've got Geordie here, who is the room host here. I really didn't even take notice of who was hosting this room because I just wanted to hunt. You know, I just want to record this game. I don't think it's all that unrealistic a desire to want to just play. And Geordie doesn't want to play with me, but he may actually be willing to just suck it up and do it now, because he may also be of the... he may also understand that there aren't many people to play with. You know, maybe there's some bad blood between us because I kicked him at one time. You know, at the end of the day, don't fucking cheat in the game. His form of cheating is a particularly unpleasant one because it directly involves other people. He doesn't just cheat for his own personal gratification, he gives people status knives which cannot be acquired outside of a hunt, yet he's giving people these things. So he's literally affecting other people's experience in the game, possibly for reasons that he deems to be both just and indeed friendly. I mean, he may believe that he's helping people by doing that, but he's not, and so I'm trying not to hunt with these people. I'm trying not to give them the opportunity. Let it be. At this stage, I'm willing to. I just want to hunt, but, you know, he's the one who's having problems, it looks like. I'm just going to bring this loadout. This is going to do for now. I just want to play the damn game, you know, and it's been very difficult to do that so far. This has been the most difficult recording setup I've ever had to endure. Because again, in amongst all the bullshit, I've also simultaneously had to deal with technical difficulties which ultimately required me to restart my computer. So, regrettably, I couldn't record any of that, but hopefully my description of it gets across just how fucking insane this community is. It is filled with absolute fuck-ups. Like, people who probably should not be allowed on the internet. Anyway, I'm going to get my chat up. I do have beverages even today. Like, I have beverages to consume, but I regret to say that I don't have the time right now. After what I've been through, I just don't have the time to get that organized. I'm going to do a hunt first. Oh. I'm sorry if you guys have been chatting up until this point. I haven't been able to read any of what you've said. I didn't have my browser open, so I wasn't able to see the chat there on Twitch on my browser. So that's the situation. Well, yeah, it really was just a case of constructive criticism with that second guy. I had started off by essentially saying that I didn't want to do Descent into Hades. I asked the person, hey, are you trying to make the event weapon? And the guy's like, no. And I'm like, well, you do realize this is the Super Stygian event, right? I'd rather do a different one if you're not even trying to get the event weapon. And this guy's like, no, I want to see if we can do it. Well, that's all well and good if you've got a legitimate fucking loadout, which you do not. But again, when people host rooms in this community, they seem to think that it's an opportunity for them to express their deep inability to actually conduct social discussion and social interaction in general. As soon as you say something that bothers them even slightly, they're like, get out of my room, my rules. Guess what, dickhead? There's no one playing the game, and so you don't want some constructive criticism on your completely inappropriate loadout for what is effectively the most difficult quest in the game. And as a result, I don't deserve to play. I don't deserve to play because you're an idiot. That's lovely, isn't it? So that is the community at the moment. If you want to pick up this game, give it a try, well, that's for you to decide whether or not it's worth it, because I'm telling you, there aren't that many people playing, and furthermore, if you're going to play with someone, there's a decent chance that that person is not sound of mind. And I mean that in a big way. We're talking people who, if you met them in real life, you'd quite quickly wish that you hadn't. Because they're probably very, very demented. That's how they come across online anyway. Whoops. Let's try to get out of the way of this. I wasn't able to do so. Anyway, am I in the middle of the screen? I am, thank you. Thank you. Oh, God. I do appreciate being notified of these things. But yeah, I was trying to show the chat and whatever discussion was taking place. I think Daniel ended up... It seems that Geordie, more than anything else, just needed to get across that he wasn't happy with me being in this room. I do appreciate that he was gracious enough to allow me to continue playing the game. That was very nice of him. But he did want to make it extremely clear that he was not happy with me being here. I suppose he has enough presence of mind to realize that I wouldn't be here if I had another choice. You know, if I had another choice, I wouldn't be here. But I was literally kicked out of 2 other rooms. The first one for not being a female character, and the second for, you know, telling someone that they shouldn't use a dragon greatsword with a gathering set against Super Stygian Zenogre, the event quest. So that was, you know, definitely educational. It gives me a clearer understanding of the true depth of the stupidity of the people in this community, but it's only going to become harder and harder to play with these fucking people as time passes. It seems that if you're going to host a room in this game... In fact, no, I'm going to phrase it differently. I think the people who find themselves in a position where they want to host are usually people who can't play by anyone else's rules. If the rules are sensible or otherwise, doesn't matter. Like, they literally are so special, and I mean special in a bad way, that they need to be able to have that control over the group. Unfortunately, their need for control, because they're so uncomfortable in their own skin, actually negatively impacts other people's ability to play the game, which already has a limited community. So this has been, quite honestly, an eye-opener, just to see how far this community has fallen. Let me tell you that the community, and this goes all the way back to Try, has always been a little loopy. But unfortunately, it seems that the number of absolute idiots has not decreased, but the overall number of people hunting has decreased. What this means is that you're more likely to come across these people now, and let me tell you, it hurts. This is one of my favorite games, and the community is on the edge of ruining it for me, so there you go. Ugh. It wouldn't be the first time I've been kicked from a room for telling someone, not even in an abrasive way, just as a matter of fact, telling them that either their loadout is inappropriate or their style of play is severely lacking in either effectiveness or strategy or something along those lines. People just don't want to have the conversation, so they think that they have the right to kick them. I mean, they technically do because they have the power to do so, but unfortunately they need to take responsibility for the fact that they are hosting a room and there's barely anyone playing. So, yeah, maybe they get off on that power as well. I wouldn't doubt it. Anyway, I've had my brief rant. It wasn't so brief, but if you went through what I just had to go through, you'd be doing it too. It's painful stuff. My game is also a little bit too loud for my comfort right now. It's not going to affect you at all, but it is affecting me slightly. So I will fix that after this hunt. I will also get a beverage after the next hunt, and I will furthermore confirm that everything's fine with the live stream. I haven't really done that to my satisfaction just yet, but I mean, it seems to be fine. It seems to be fine. Ugh. Yeah, 3 Ultimate beta. It is a lovely game, except you play with idiots. That's kind of what you have to deal with. It's a hot day today. Doesn't help that I'm getting frustrated as well. But yeah, while I was setting up for this recording, God, it was really heating up. The sun has gone behind the clouds, which has allowed my apartment to cool down a little bit, but I get the morning sun in here, you see. And what that means is that it gets very warm if the sun is also warm, which it is today. God. I'm officially out of antidotes. I did not stock up on antidotes before departing on this hunt. I'm sure you can appreciate that there were some distractions between the setup process and the departure. I wouldn't even say that I was necessarily, I can't even speak, I wasn't even necessarily setting up for the hunt. I was just wanting to depart before Geordie changed his mind and decided to remove me from the room. I'm sure he wasn't going to forget anytime soon that I had kicked him in the past, but at least he didn't return the favor. No, that is... What I was mostly discussing, Beta, was a previous case, which took place off camera. But, anyway, that's in the past now. We just need to, at this stage, move on, see what we can do about making this particular recording drama-free. Seems that Daniel is someone I should stick around with anyway. He seems to at least be a little better than some of the people I've come across. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, as they say, but that was a reasonable run. Oh god. Hello, Atalant. Now, I will do some carving. I've also come to realize, and it's one of those things that I really should have realized sooner, and that is that if I'm going to, as I say, control the items that go into my box, in other words, if I'm trying to avoid having stacks of 99, I don't have to go and put that stuff in my box to find out whether it's full in my box. Obviously, I can see whether or not I've got the materials at stacks of 99 in the box from the reward screen, but also, if I do have carves in my inventory, what I can do is go to the selling screen at the shop vendor to simultaneously check if I actually have space in my box for these materials, and also sell those materials if I have max in the box. I realised this while playing first gen, and I thought to myself, you do know, Doomlink, that that's probably something that you can do in 3 Ultimate as well. And I was doing that quite naturally in first gen. It's funny how that logic somehow doesn't cross over, at least not in my own mind. Might be indicative of some sort of stupidity within Doomlink. Goodness me. Apparently seeing me play Kingdoms of Amalur made A Gaming buy it, which is extraordinary, but if that's what you want to do with your day, then go for it. A bit of a long story, Atalar, and I just got finished with the story, so yeah, if you want to hear it, feel free to watch the beginning of this live stream. It is an extraordinary tale of stupidity. Pure force of habit caused me to walk to this box and essentially do what I just did there. But yeah, if I go to the sell screen here at this vendor, I should be able to see the materials. No, sell. So you can see I'm given box information as well here. So if there's anything that I do have a max stack of, I can just comfortably sell it right here. It's not a problem at all. Daniel got a moonshard. He says it's been a long time since he last got a moonshard. Hopefully Geordie has now cooled off, and we can now hunt together. Do I regret kicking him in the past? Not even remotely. Am I grateful for him allowing me to conduct a live stream right now by not kicking me? Yes. Both of these things, both of these sentiments can exist simultaneously. But, generally, no, it's not a comfortable situation. I've basically been put in a position where I'm being almost coerced into not taking a stand against people who cheat in this game, because to do so will almost eliminate my ability to play with other people, which is so stupid, but it is what it is. I'm going to get a beverage, I'm going to fix my speakers, and I'll be back in about a minute. I'm back. Beverage today is Golden Drak. What of my hair in my mouth. That'll be lovely for consuming beer, wouldn't it? Beer and hair mixed into one. There's nothing more frustrating than getting a hair stuck in your mouth, by the way. I don't mean like hanging out of your mouth. I mean, it's in your mouth and you can't fucking get it out. It's awful. How that happens, I don't really know. It doesn't happen often, fortunately, but God, when it does, it's annoying. Here's our beverage. Golden Drak. Yes, it is backwards. That's because my camera is backwards. I've got my glass, my dragon egg glass. Yeah. No, don't spill everywhere. The ultimate irony of this is that when I was... it's spilling everywhere. It's one of those days. I've had the worst possible experience with the community. I've also had to deal with technical difficulties. And then I go to open my beverage and it just spills out everywhere. It's the room will be disbanded. I suppose Geordie just couldn't do it. He couldn't hack it. He didn't want to play with me. Now the question becomes... fuck me sideways. I'll be back in a sec. The fact that I have to deal with this. Alright, so the question that I was going to pose was, would it be best for me to make a room and have Daniel join me, or have Daniel host a room? Of course, Daniel may try to join Link. Now that would be a bad turn of events. We do not want that. I was able to get a little bit of that spillage into my glass, actually, which is nice. Like a half shot of beer in there. It's a bit of a... how do I say? Russian roulette. Occasionally you'll get a bottle of beer which, regrettably, has been shaken up at some point, and it just spills out when you open it. It's frustrating. When you have electronics nearby, though, it is awkward. It may seem that I have so many options right now. I don't. If Daniel has made the decision to join another room instead of... yeah, looks like he's made the decision to join another room instead of make a room of his own, I will... This is the room that I left. I hope that he's two-manning Descend into Hades with that loadout. That would be hilarious. Geordie closed the room and opened a new one? Maybe he disconnected or something. I'm happy to rejoin him, but I don't want to have this discussion with him about whether or not I'm going to play with him. I wouldn't play with him if I had another option. Seriously. But yeah, he definitely didn't kick me. He just expanded the room and then has reopened it, which almost makes me think that he must have disconnected himself. I don't think that if he were trying to get rid of me, he would disband the room. I think he would just flat out kick me. This has been a strange morning. A really strange morning. Why? I have nowhere else to go. Clearly, why would I want to play with you, man? Like, what do you think? I've got nowhere else to go. Now that's either going to... please leave. You know, you should just take responsibility for the fact that you're the one going around affecting people's ability to enjoy the game by literally giving them hacked items, okay? You take responsibility for that. Grow up. But I'm not going to have the discussion with him because it's pointless. In the first instance, I think he has a pretty limited command of the English language, and... oh, great. It's a repeat of the same situation from before. I don't think Daniel will want to particularly take sides in this issue. I don't even want to have the discussion. It's not right that I should be given the short end of the stick like this for taking a stand against cheaters. He is a cheater by his own admission. Ugh. It's not like I saw him do something and I theorized that he cheated and then I kicked him. The scenario was... I recognized him from the past, I posed a question to him, which was, don't you go around giving people status knives? And he responded with yes, and so I kicked him. That was the situation. I wanted him to admit it himself. I don't know if Daniel... look, I don't even think I can short message Daniel because there's no chat... oh no, I can respond to this one. I suppose he was able to tolerate that one hunt. That one hunt was something he could manage to do, but after that, no. It was a little bit too much. I do apologize for this, by the way. I understand that there may be an element of entertainment that you can get out of this, but at the end of the day, you would probably prefer that I'm just playing the game, and I can assure you that I would also prefer that, but this is not a normal scenario. I've had 3 separate people that I've interacted with in this particular session. 3 different room hosts, and all 3 of them don't want to play with me. And for no good reason. It's one of those situations where I can comfortably say, no, I'm not the problem. The community's fucked. Well, he is hoping. I don't know. I don't think Daniel wants to... Don't know if you heard that. It's a fire truck. But, yeah, I wonder if that was audible. It was a fire truck honking its very loud horn. I'll join again, and what we'll do... That could not enter the room. I've now officially been blocked by 2 separate people in one session. Oh my god. Look, if we just made a room, Daniel, we would avoid this crap. We wouldn't have this issue. Oh my god. The thing is, I don't know if he wants to get involved. He technically wouldn't be getting involved by willingly leaving that room and joining me, and then we could just play the game. But it may feel that way for him. He may feel as if he's being drawn into taking sides in some non-existent argument. Well, it's not that way. He doesn't even know that Link refuses to let me in his room. He may think that there's this ridiculous situation where I'm embroiled in drama between myself and 2 other people. In actual fact, there's 3 of them. And I don't want to have to explain that. I have nowhere else to go. I can't fit. I'll just keep it simple then. Can we make a room? You can even host it, I don't care. Fucking hell. So again, just as a recap. Can't join this room, person's blocked me. Can't join this room, this person kicks me immediately. Can't join this room, this person's blocked me. These 2 rooms are full. This room is high rank. So... Yeah, no Australians. It is the sequel to No Asians, for sure. And I'm not going to tell the full story again for the benefit of those just coming in as to why I've been kicked from all 3 of these rooms and blocked in 2 of them. I mean, who knows? Maybe Link has blocked me as well. I'm not going to struggle to play with him. I'm not going to go out of my way to do it, because when I do play with him, I get annoyed anyway. Daniel realizes that the situation is unreasonable and is willing to make a room. Now, thank God for this short messaging system, right? Although some people would contend that if we were comparing this to the likes of the Generations Ultimate game on the Switch, that you could probably message someone directly through Nintendo or something. But I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if you can just send people random messages. I think you need to add them as a friend first, which means that this is a much more clean and sensible system. I wouldn't have been able to short message him unless he had sent me one first this time around, because I didn't actually have any chat history from which to, I guess, message the person. There are 2 ways to send a short message. Either you select their profile in the user list in a room that you're already in, or you go through your chat history and short message them from there. This is something that has existed in all of the mainline games that were Alpha Team since Monster Hunter 1. So Monster Hunter 1, Monster Hunter G, Monster Hunter DOS, Monster Hunter Tri, and Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate are all games where short messaging exists, naturally. Obviously, any game that didn't include that essentially lacked in functionality by comparison. Generations Ultimate is always a backup P-Berry, but I think, yeah. Daniel says, anyone is welcome in my room. Well, are we really going to just give cheaters a pass? Again, I have to stress, it's not just the thought that he's cheating. I would actually say that Hot One, who is another person that I've been trying to avoid playing with, is not as bad of a cheater as Geordie, for example. Geordie, as well as many other people, do actually bring other people in to their exploitations of the game by giving them things that they shouldn't otherwise have. They shouldn't be able to get these things, and he's giving it to them. So he's actually affecting other people's game. There is a spectrum. You've got people who only cheat for themselves. You've got people like Geordie who give others status knives, and then you've got other people who actually will one-shot monsters, for example. Now, obviously he's not that bad, but still, it's pretty bad. They must do what they got to do. See, that is an argument that you could possibly use for people who only cheat to further their own character growth. But to go around involving other people in that, by giving them status knives, for example, that's ridiculous. I hate that. Well, Daniel's cool enough. He obviously realized that the situation was awkward enough to side with me in this case. I don't want to say side with me necessarily, but he obviously doesn't want me to have no one to play with on that basis. It's a bit awkward, isn't it? I don't think it's a matter of taking sides in an argument. He just recognizes that I've been kicked out of the room for a rather unfair reason, and would rather have a room where we can at least hunt together and then get some other people on board. Well, I don't know if Gao is going to understand what Daniel said here, but best to say something like, feel free to post. Oh, I see, he did say that. I wasn't keeping track of the chat properly. Anyway, this has been a stressful recording. Not all of it has been on camera, but I've at least expressed all of that to you. And God... I am looking forward to actually playing the game Bottomless Beast very well. It's a quest that I no longer need, but I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do it. I'll try and point myself this way a little bit more. The reason being that, I mean, it's a long story, but I'd rather not be from an almost side view, but I don't want my microphone to be in front of my face. It looks weird. It looks dumb. Don't like it. What I might do is actually rent a shotgun mic, like a proper high-end low-bar microphone, and see if I can have that further away from my mouth, possibly even off camera, and have that still reject the reverberations within the room, because that is the reason why I'm having to be close to my microphone. It's so that it picks up less room noise and more of my direct voice. But if a high-end low bar will allow me to avoid that, while also having my physical appearance on the screen be a little more front-on and a bit nicer looking in general, then that would be great. I will actually probably do that sometime next week. I've never actually rented a microphone before, but it's the best thing to do if you want to try an actual style of microphone to see if it suits your setup. Because, for example, if I were to spend, I don't know, $600 or something on a really nice low-bar microphone, and then have it not actually suit my needs, that would be really awkward. So I'd like to actually give that a try. Because this is a great microphone. Electro Voice RE20, brilliant microphone, but it may not suit my needs at this stage. We'll see. We will have to see. If there's an alternative that works, then I'll I'll go for that, maybe, but not immediately. We had Savage Devil Joe posted. And Daniel refers to people as new names. I mean, I've been playing this game on and off since it came out, but whether or not I've played with Daniel before, quite obviously, would slip my mind given that his name is Daniel. It's not a very identifiable name. It's not a memorable name either, so I don't know. Maybe I have played with him before. He makes it sound as if he's been playing for a while. How about a bow? Rapid bow? Rapid dragon. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds like fun. Hello, anonymous cheerer. Thank you for that. 420 bits. I don't know how much that actually equates to in real money, but I appreciate that. I mean, that is assuming that that's an actual bit donation. Let me check. Yeah, that's an actual cheer of 420 bits. Thank you for that. Someone with a lot of money, no doubt, who just goes around randomly cheering people in Twitch. Because, you know, if it's something that someone has literally named themselves around, they've probably got a bit of money to throw away. But I appreciate the gesture, nonetheless. I'll bring power coatings, of which I have 75 in my box. Cannot actually shoot any status coatings except for poison. I don't think I'll bother with poison coatings. Because it is Savage Devil Joe, I will actually bring combination materials for power coatings. I do not often do that in this game. I'm hoping it's still nitrous room. Let me check. It is. Anyway. They're now currently discussing traditional versus modern Monster Hunter. More like Monster Hunter versus reboot Monster Hunter. That's the way I like to put it. Did I eat? I hope I did. If I didn't, then... No, I'd better check. I had better check. I did eat, but I regrettably did not get 150 stamina, which is awkward. Considering that I am using a bow. Alright, we're properly in the swing of things. We've got a group together. Let's do some hunting. We've got Savage Devil Joe. This is the first game where he appeared in the series. He appears almost as an invasion-only monster, but Capcom were nice enough to give us an event quest for him as well. So his only legitimate quest is an event quest, which is this one here. When I say legitimate quest, I mean a quest where the objective of the quest is to kill him. That's this one right here. I forgot to bring meat, but at this stage I do not care. I'm just gonna live with that. Oh, fuck! Forgot to bring a thunder weapon. I forgot that it was Savage Devil Joe. I mean, I recognized that it was Savage Devil Joe, but I wasn't thinking. So sadly, I'm doing less damage than I could be dealing. Gao has brought an appropriate weapon. Daniel has brought an appropriate weapon. How about that? It's a bit of a reverse of what I'm used to. How annoying is that? Oh, for goodness sake. Yeah, I'm really frustrated by that, to be honest. There's only 3 of us. I mean, at the end of the day, 3 people against this monster is okay. It's just that if we're not in a group of 4, I do want to be using the best element I can be. At least I've put it on the record. Hey, Tarbo's here. God. I'm sure he'll appreciate that story I just told. You know what's funny? Like, every single grievance that I have in this game Tavo can identify with because he's experienced the exact same shit. Because he's a level-headed person who plays this game more regularly than I do. So he knows how the community is. He knows all about it. So, yeah. Yeah, here to save the recording again. Ow. That's a bad fucking situation. Managed to roll through it, but seriously, go away. If anyone's got a pitfall or meat, do drop it. I'm awkwardly standing here in possession of neither of those things, which is less than desirable, but anyway. It's fine, I don't mind getting hit by the tail in that attack. Hello, Force Infinity. I'm going to be getting hit by the tail again, unless I, roll through it. Which I don't expect, because the tail is a bit weird in how it moves. Doesn't have that sort of instant impact, it's a little slower. The faster something moves, the easier it is to roll through it, because... I mean, I don't want to have to explain that, I'd like to think it's fairly logical. But, yeah, if it's something that's a little slower, it's harder to evade without evasion skills, but... yeah. I don't really bring evasion skills because it's not how I play comfortably. Usually my instinct is to avoid attacks altogether than evade through them, but sometimes I do, based on the situation, attempt an evade, because an attack may be coming my way that I didn't anticipate and I can't get out of the way of it, so I do attempt an evade. At which point, you know, an evasion skill might be nice, but I don't actually want to have my entire playstyle focused around evasion skills, which is to say that I'd be evading through everything instead of avoiding things. It's just because I guess it requires a little bit more effort, doesn't it? Because, well, at least for me, because that's not how I naturally play anymore. I used to do that in the past, but nowadays it's more casual and simple for me to avoid attacks altogether than try to roll through them, you know. Yeah, certain weapon types definitely lend themselves to evasion better than others, but, I mean, as you can see, because Deviljho is a monster that I'm pretty familiar with, you know, I've fought him probably more times than most of you have shat in your lives back in Try, I can comfortably evade through most of his stuff, as I've demonstrated across multiple hunts within the last month or two, because I did recently fight this monster a lot. In search of... what was it? Unless I have evasion 1 on this. No, I don't. Yeah, didn't think so. But, yeah, because I was trying to get a Deviljho weapon, you've seen me fight him a lot, and this is one of those monsters that I can evade fairly well, but... yeah, what it has to do with is that because I've fought this monster so many times, I've become comfortable with everything that he does. All of his timings, just everything. I feel like I can almost get into the mind of the monster because I've fought him so many times. Whereas with other monsters, I'm not really in it in that same sort of way. In that moment there, I was prioritizing an evasion of the head if it were within range. So I took the tail, but I definitely don't want to be getting hit by the face. That is the real damaging part of the combo. Yes, I'm slowly turning into a Deviljho. And I think everyone who played Try fought Deviljho a lot. Everyone had their own way of playing, I suppose. What I did... when I say everyone had their own way of playing, what I should say is that back in Try, when you reached the end game, everyone had their own way of prolonging their enjoyment with the game. I had a number of ways of doing it, but I certainly did a lot of solo runs, essentially trying to get faster and faster runs with Deviljho. I opted for Evasion Lance solo runs. I found that to be one of the most fun things that you could do with a Devil Joe. And because I was doing Evasion Lance solo runs, I started to look at the monster in a different sort of way, I guess. Actually looking for those situations where I could get away with evasion. Where I could... like, an attack is coming my way. Is that easy to evade, or should I actually try to get out of the way of it overall? That sort of changes the way you fight this monster on a subconscious level, and because I play mostly subconsciously, like for example, as I sit here crapping off to you, crapping on to you, there you go. If I am running my mouth, just talking about something with you guys, what that means is that I'm paying basically no attention to the game. That is subconscious Doomlink playing. Because I have spent so much time with Devil Joe, subconscious Doomlink can handle all of what he has to throw at me. So, that's basically the situation. It's not often that when I'm recording Monster Hunter, I'm actually playing while consciously making decisions about what to do at any given time. Sorry, Daniel. Didn't really know where you were in that moment, so I thought there were bombs there, better detonate them. The sooner the better, because the sooner they're detonated, the sooner I can start hitting the monster properly. Well, I want to try and do more ranged weaponry, Force Infinity, because I have been neglecting it. It's not because I'm not a gunner. I am a gunner. I'm a ranged weaponry kind of person. It's just I became burnt out with it. Ugh. Gao unfortunately took that real hard. Oh, here we go. Of course, the range of that is most frustrating if your strategy is to avoid the attack completely, because usually, it definitely depends on where you are in relation to the monster, but Savage Devil Joe will come out with that Dragon Breath so suddenly, and so without warning, that sometimes you're just not in the right position to evade it entirely. Oh wow. Can you believe how much range that had? I must have been right on the edge of the effective distance of the tremor. See, that didn't affect me. Oh, you know what it is? It's that particular side of the monster. So if you're on Devil Joe's left and he does that attack, it's not going to actually radiate out in quite the same way. But if you're on his right side, it's a little different. Oh god. I am frustrated though that I'm using a dragon weapon. Really frustrated by that. Because I'm the one who's been going on about how everyone needs to be more aware of the fact that this monster is primarily weak to thunder, not dragon, but it is what it is. I'm actually not too sure how Arc Shot works in this game versus Portable Third. When I say that, I mean, I'm not sure if it flinches players quite as much in this game. When Arc Shot was first brought into Portable Third, the big problem with it was that it was constantly flinching people. It would basically pierce through the monster and then totally decimate the team. It was really bad, especially if it were that wide. I mean, the Blast was pretty bad. Blast was worst, and quite frankly, it still remains a very disruptive style of Arc Shot in this game. But the wide Arc Shot, which is this one, I think. No, this is Focus. This is Focus Arc Shot, which is better. But the wide Arc Shot, just because it hit all over the monster and pierced through the monster to hit the ground, people on the ground, in other words, Blade Masters, were constantly being flinched by it if you were constantly shooting it. And so it was ill-advised to use Arc Shot in the game that first introduced Arc Shot, so it was very awkward. I don't know if they made it a little more tolerable here in this game, and I'm not entirely sure how they would go about making it more tolerable, but I haven't actually noticed the same level of frustration while playing with bow users in this game versus Portable Third. Now that may be entirely related to how people use the bow here in 3 Ultimate versus Portable Third. The people with whom I play Portable Third are generally not as aware of good strategy. But having said that, there are some absolutely horrendous players in this community as well, so it's hard to know. But if you're playing with people from Hunsterverse, and those are the people that I've played Portable Third with recently, yeah, you better get ready for some arc shot flinching. And when the game came out, it was also a problem, but that was, I feel, less to do with the fact that people were just ignorantly flinching their teammates, and probably a little more to do with the fact that people were still learning what was and wasn't appropriate to use with a group. What would it take for you to willingly hunt with bomb palicos? Ugh. I'm assuming when you say palico, you mean feline companions. Which can only therefore mean feline companions that throw bombs instead of running in there and swinging their weapons. I'll have you know that I do hunt with feline companions that carry bombs. I've done that a lot. And it's, I mean, unless you're talking about prowlers, which is a different subject entirely, but if you do mean feline companions, then I do that, and it's annoying. I hate it. I'm constantly being bombed by my Freedom Unite cat. Constantly. It's actually disruptive to the hunt. I would say that while it is helpful to have a distraction, and that really is the main function of a feline companion in Freedom Unite, they don't deal all that much damage. They don't have the sort of customizability that they got in Portable Third. But what they do achieve is that additional distraction in the hunt, which generally increases your DPS because there are more occasions where you can beat on the monster because it's focusing on something else. However, I almost want to say that the bombs that cat throws neutralizes the benefit of the DPS increase. Because again, like, when you get hit by the bomb, you're rolling away and you're on the ground for like 5 seconds. It's terrible. It's really bad. Anyway, that was a silver-crowned large Devil Joe, apparently. Yeah, it's not just the explosion that lasts a long time, it's the animation when you get hit by it. You get hit by that bomb and it's not like flinching in place or even falling on your haunches. It's a case of flying away, rolling on the ground, and then having to get up. It's really bad. Speaking of really bad, my force of habit is causing me to constantly put this shit in my box instead of selling it from the vendor. That's really stupid. Oh yeah, that's right. Tarbo Show has been patiently waiting. It was unfortunate that he joined literally as we departed on the quest, but obviously this is the sort of room that he wants to be joining. See, he didn't join this room because I was here. He's just playing the game, you see. And I happen to be here. One of the downsides to this game, and also Try, is that you can't see who's in the room when you join. You can only see the quest host. Well, P-Berry, you begin to learn how to evade not just evade, but avoid entirely the bombs when they're thrown. As soon as the cat gets that bomb and you see it arcing through the air, just that muscle memory, oh fuck, make way. Once you develop that muscle memory, and it shouldn't be the sort of thing that you have to develop, to literally learn how to avoid your cat, but when you do it for long enough, as soon as you see that little thing flying through the air, because it does fly really slowly through the air, so when it eventually makes contact, you should be nowhere near it. And yeah, it's when you have either a lapse in concentration or you just happen not to see the cat, like it was entirely off screen in that moment. Unless those two scenarios take place. Should be fine. You'll mostly avoid him, because you just get used to seeing that bomb and getting the fuck out of there. Thank you for the gift sub, Force Infinity. I appreciate that. Apparently it's my turn. I'm not in need of a quest. Daniel has just now referred to Tavo as Travo, which is hilarious. Travo. Because Tavo's kind of a cool name, whereas Travo is like, the fuck is that? He's corrected himself, good. And Tavo's here, of course. Sort of, Atalar. This is what I mean when I say that the DPS benefits of having the cat are possibly eliminated by the fact that the cat's throwing bombs, so... Yeah, I don't know if it's a good idea to bring a bomb cat. Lucent Nagakuga again. Little does Tavo know that Daniel and I have very recently fought this monster, but that's alright. He's only posting it for fun, you see. But that's alright. I'm not bringing a hammer for this, I couldn't be bothered. No way. Will I bring a greatsword and fucking punish myself? I think high grade earplugs is required for this monster. I don't know why I think that, but I've got a distinct feeling that that is the case. And if it happens to require it and I bring Rocksteady, that's going to be a really bad day. What I'll do, because my Awakened Greatsword set had... Oh no, it doesn't have high grade earplugs. Well, there you go, I'm not bringing that. I was going to bring the Devastator Blade, but instead I suppose I'll be bringing the Paladar. Very well. That's fine. Sadly, I don't have Critical Draw. This is very awkward. I'm going to ask... When I say, I mean, this is perhaps not that clear, but when I ask this question, I actually mean, does Rocksteady work with Lucent Nagakuga? So... Because if I'm going to be using a greatsword against a monster that's moving this much, that critical draw is going to really help. It means that lower charge levels, such as perhaps even draw slashes and level 1 charges, will be considerably more damaging, courtesy of that critical draw. Point being that I don't have Critical Draw on my high grade earplug set, but I do have it for my Rocksteady sets. Earplug is fine, apparently. Which means that Rocksteady should work. I think... At the end of the day, I think Gao has no idea, and Daniel is only going based off an impression that he has. It is one of those grey areas because... It's one of those grey areas because, yeah, neither Tavo, Daniel, nor myself know, and we've all been playing this game for a very long time. It's just one of those grey areas in one's knowledge because Lucent Nagakuga is not... Oh, Gao just checked, okay. But you can see what I mean. Between Daniel... myself and Tavo, we weren't sure. So, makes you wonder. Part of the reason why one would be unsure is because it's probably not going to be the same as regular Nagakuga and Green Nagakuga because the range of a Lucent Nagakuga Raw is much greater than that of the standard Nagakugas, which would almost mean that it would make sense if it were a stronger Raw than those Raws. But apparently it's not. Somehow it can be louder and yet not require a higher level of raw resistance, which makes no logical sense, but apparently we're going to go with that. Because obviously if it will affect you from further away, it's louder. That's why it affects you from further away, it is because it has a greater amplitude. But apparently that does not also require a higher level of earplugs or anything like that. So while that is bizarre, we'll go with it. I'm not going to bring this set because this does not have critical draw. I'll bring this instead with the Paladin. Rocksteady is not earplugs. I don't think so. No. What Daniel has just said, I believe, is entirely incorrect. Rocksteady is better than earplugs. There is a very select group of monsters that cannot be resisted with Rocksteady, but the rest can be. Earplugs, on the other hand, no. Like, you're not going to wear earplugs and resist an Elatrion roar. That's not happening. But Rocksteady can resist that. I'm giving that as an example because obviously one would expect high-grade earplugs to be required for Elatrion, but it's not true. Rocksteady can actually resist Elatrion, and that's one of the reasons why Rocksteady is notably superior to that of earplugs. Earplugs is just basic, it's for basic monsters, whereas Rocksteady is a catch-all solution in 3 Ultimate, with high-grade earplugs only being required for a select few monsters. Examples being Genmoran, Giganox, and possibly one other monster, I don't know. Probably Diamoralis. Probably those 3. So yeah, definitely I would say that Daniel would be correct if he was speaking of 4 Ultimate. For Ultimate, Rocksteady is probably the same as earplugs. In fact, almost definitely the same as earplugs. But in this game, it was considerably better than it was in 4 Ultimate, which means that... actually, I might bring the King Atalar sword. Sorry, the Serra Symmetry. I'm probably missing one. Anyway. But yeah, what I'm telling Daniel is not necessarily something he didn't know in the past. It has to be understood that when you're playing multiple versions of Monster Hunter across a long period of time, you start to forget the interstices of fact that is unique to every individual game. I mean, you actually lose it. You lose that detailed minutiae. It is what it is. Rocksteady wasn't in... Oh, he means that high graded plugs was only required for 3 monsters in Try. I was about to say, they didn't have Rocksteady in Try, what are you talking about? But yeah, he's probably... Yeah. Oh yeah. I knew I was forgetting one. I was niggling in the back of my mind. I just knew it. Alright. Let's get out of here. I'd rather use this greatsword because while it's not necessarily the correct element, it will be infinitely more effective against this monster than that Paladire greatsword because the raw damage of that is quite lacking. Also, the Paladire has a decent amount of affinity, which is not really going to help with critical draws. So what Rocksteady does is it actually allows you to physically resist knockbacks. And because it allows you to physically resist knockbacks, it also gives you resistance to roars. You become more solid, like you're more resistant to attacks. It doesn't affect defense, it just affects your ability to resist flinching effectively. And because a roar creates flinching, it works as earplugs would. I believe it only existed in 3 Ultimate, 4, and 4 Ultimate. It was deemed to be too good in this game, so they nerfed it in early 4th gen, but oh, yes, I did top up my antidotes, thank God. At first I wasn't sure, but then I remembered specifically doing that, and I'm glad that I did. Otherwise this would have been a terrible hunt to depart on. There is no difference. Force Infinity. RAW and ROAR are the same. Your accent, I mean, you describe finer accents. The reality is that some words are clearer than others. I mean, in the American accent, I would say that you've got many more words that sound the same than in other accents, but in the case of those 2 examples, that would be... Or, well, I suppose together they create a single example. That would be a case where the American accent can distinguish between those 2. But in my accent, no, those RAW sounds the same as a monster roar. So, it's just unfortunate, it is what it is. I mean, accents will do that. It's because of how vowels are pronounced and how R's are actually heavily focused on and aren't. Oh god. But yeah. And to be honest, I could be wrong in saying that more words sound the same with the American accent versus other accents. That's what I've encountered, but I could be wrong simply for the fact that I don't study these things. I haven't really looked into it in detail. But, yeah, it's luck of the draw, you know. I do sometimes try to overpronounce certain words, which can be done. Roar? Roar. I don't know, even then that's not quite right, you know, that's not in keeping with my accents, so... But it's sort of an overpronunciation of the R at the end of roar, which I hope sounded like the monster roar. Anyway, the point is that it is what it is. Yes, that overpronunciation is obviously not comfortable nor really necessary. I mean, one would hope that the context can essentially eliminate the ambiguity, but not in every case. Especially when RAW also is a commonly used word in discussions about Monster Hunter and fighting monsters, so... It is what it is. Just doing a draw attack. I could have actually gone for a charge, but one cannot assume that Nagkug is going to go into a stationary tail maneuver animation. Oh, come on, I tried to roll that. I was unsuccessful. I will actually sharpen up. This is one of those situations where it is better to really focus on that purple sharpness. I'm becoming better and better at playing with one hand. The sort of gymnastics I have to do with my controller to play with one hand. It's something that I developed by having to take a drink while playing the game. One hand, guys, look at me. Hey. Alright. No, that's going to hit me. I was going for an evade on that one, but it hit me so quickly. You almost have to pre-evade the entire animation of the monster to get it correct, because that was the first frame of the animation which hit me. So, as uncomfortable as that may be, it was something that I knew was necessary but still couldn't do properly. Because I was standing in a very awkward position in relation to the monster there. I'm going to assume that the damage was dealt there, but it's always nasty when you can't quite see it. The poison spikes of this monster are what makes Lucent Nagakuga so truly annoying to fight. It's bothersome. By the way, critical draw with this weapon will not allow me to deal a guaranteed critical attack every time I draw. That's because I have negative affinity on this particular greatsword set. Or with this particular greatsword, I should say. It's a pretty good run there. The situation with critical draw is that it was an evolution of Art of Unsheathing. People assume that Art of Unsheathing was actually just a different name and that's it, but it's technically a different skill. Art of Unsheathing makes it so that irrespective of your affinity, in other words, affinity does not actually factor into the skill, you will deal a critical hit with your opening greatsword slash, or with your first slash with the weapon when you unsheath it. Critical draw, very importantly, gives you an increase of 100% affinity when you draw your weapon. Which means that if you have negative affinity, that will reduce the 100% to a lower number. So they are, in effect, very similar, but technically speaking are different skills in how they operate. And Art of Unsheathing is, quite frankly, just a broken skill. They removed it for that reason. It probably would have been called Critical Draw if it retained its effect, to be fair, but yeah. Art of Unsheathing was ridiculous. And it made weapons like the weapon that I'm using now even stronger. Why will I forever fail to go to my selling screen with the vendor? I don't know. I can't answer that question. Sell that tail spear, there we go. How is my box space looking? Pretty good. It's been a while since my box space has looked this agreeable. Usually I'm sitting there fuming at the fact that I've only got 2 box slots. But it's not too bad at the moment. It's not too bad at all. I do love this beer, it's just extraordinary. It's such a good beverage. Never disappoints, never. I remember, I think it was in 2020, just before the original COVID lockdown. So in other words, probably January or February. Maybe even late 2019 when I last got Golden Dark. And I was quite upset, I didn't have a glass for it at the time, but I I drank it anyway. And it was great. Loved it. It was difficult to find. I wasn't able to find it, but fortunately, now that I've moved, there's actually a bottle shop that sells not just the standard Golden Drac, but a number of variants of it. There's a limited edition brew, which I might try, but I don't think it's quite as good as the original. And there's also an Imperial Stout brewed by Golden Drac, which is weird. I mean, apparently it's not very good for the style, like by the style standards, but I may try it. I think it would be interesting. Daniel's posting apparently. Again, come on, why? Shit. We've already... Oh, I see. Gao asked for it, so that's fine. Gao is actually trying to get Savage Devil Joe stuff. I'm not that impressed because this means that we have... I mean, we haven't fought that many monsters in this recording and we're about to fight... How do I phrase it? This is the second time we've fought a monster we've already fought. And we've probably only fought 5 or 6 monsters, so it's not great. What would make this fun? A hunting horn, I guess. No. High voltage verve, yay. At this stage, that dragon hunting horn might end up being better. But again, most of the effectiveness of this horn will be through the boosting of the damage of the team. I will bring meat this time. I won't actually bring paralysis meat because we've already got Tavo Show building up paralysis with this monster. What that means is that there's every opportunity, or rather every possibility, that by the time Devil Joe eats paralysis meat, Tavo Show will already have gotten off a paralysis with his longsword, which means that Devil Joe's resistance to paralysis may actually be greater than what a single consumption of paralysis meat can do for an actual paralysis application. So, yeah. Where is my meat? Here it is. Bring 3 drugged meat. That's not reflective of my desire or even expectation to have him eat it 3 times. It's basically in case I drop the meat and he leaves the area, and then I drop it again and he happens to leave the area before eating it the second time. That's why I bring multiple. I think we're good to go. Hello, Yells. I don't see much of you anymore. Welcome back to the live stream. Bottomless beast. There's a very scary close-up of that baggie right there. I didn't end up topping up my potions, but oh well. I'll just have to play extra carefully. Oops. Alright, I'll try to remember that. Purple, red, green, purple. And I'll wait until Gao enters the area before. Oh, Tavo's gone and dropped paralysis meat, despite the fact that I was avoiding bringing it precisely because he was using paralysis, but that's fine. Alright, now let's find a place to stand where I'm unlikely to be hit. Oh, he's going... Oh, okay. He will be paralyzed immediately because he went for it before Tavo had much of a chance to build up his paralysis. I was not expecting him to eat the meat that fucking quickly. It's very good though, because I was in position to play my attack song in time for that paralysis. Which means that we managed to get some pretty good damage out for sure. Alright, now I can move at proper speed here. Going for the legs there for that knockdown, but that was not a knockdown, that was just a flinch. God, look at how angry he is. It looked as if I took basically no damage from that, but that was because someone actually used a life powder at a very appropriate time. There goes Daniel. And sometimes you just end up in a really awkward position when that monster does that attack, because it comes out so suddenly. Wow, that was... He did too many attacks there because of some sort of network instability. My connection with Daniel has become rather poor, probably due to his internet, but... Anyway. To be honest though, there was a time, I should really get with the times. I mean, most people these days have fairly equal internet connectivity. It was a long time ago when people's internet connectivity was so varied in quality that that did make a big difference. I mean, Unstiverse would be an example of the exception to the rule. Because, well, in actual fact, most of those guys have absolutely horrendous internet connectivity. Sorry, Daniel, I know you were going for that pitfall trap there. That is one of the examples, or rather, it is a reason why it's better that he was given the chance to properly place that trap. But the reason why I go for that bomb detonation so quickly is because I do not want someone else to do the detonation and wake up the monster before the bombs deal the wake-up hit. I really don't want that, so... Oh, God. Look how quickly that attack comes out. No. Ugh. Still stuck in my animation. Well, I'm glad that didn't result in death, because it would have done if he had instead moved backwards to breathe his dragon. But he moved forwards that time. I am live streaming, yes. There's nothing that I can do beyond what I already have done, Yamatori. I sent a notification in my Discord, and presumably Twitch did its thing where it sent out a notification 1 hour after the live stream, which is extraordinarily helpful, Twitch, but I will ask you to be a decent live provider, live stream provider, I don't know. Live streaming service? There you go. Which it is not, incidentally, but it's all we have. YouTube's not an option, so yeah, it's all we have. So we have to live with it. I'd better go and top up my attack. I have been neglecting to do that, actually. Go away. Oh, I just barely got to play it. Holy shit. Yeah, about playing carefully, that has not really been happening. I've been having to use a lot of potions, which is less than ideal considering that I went into this hunt with less than max potions. That's a little confusing, isn't it? Less than the maximum number of potions that I could carry. I'm not actually referring to max potions, you see. Definitely need to play some attacks harder to, or harder to break, yes. Attack deflection prevention, whatever. Whatever you want to call it. Attacks harder to break, attack deflection prevention. They mean the same thing, it's just one happens to be more articulate and probably aptly descriptive than the other. Yeah, I can also send an in-person notification. Next time I will send him a personal message on Twitch. I suppose there's never You can never notify someone too well. I happen to be fighting a large monster right now, but there is another priority. I don't know who... Oh, I sort of understand why the paralysis meat is being dropped. It's so that Tavo Sho can get his paralysis build up. Well, it's not that refusing to drop it or failing to drop it would prevent him from building up his paralysis. What I mean to say is that it will build up paralysis that Tavo Sho can then work with. It's fucking raining outside. Heavily. Oh my god. The Australian weather patterns are just unreasonable at the moment. I'm telling you, it started off as a very warm, clear, blue-skied day. And it is now pouring with rain. In fact, I would say that when I started this live stream, that is how one would describe the day today. But it is now pouring with rain. Very well. You can probably also see what's happening with that too. When I started this live stream, it was probably quite bright in my webcam. Oh shit! That's actually really funny, P-Berry, because I noticed that on my own before you mentioned it. See, you're the only one who's going to tell me these things, P-Berry. It's literally you that needs to be my guardian. Literally no one else cares that I'm in the middle of the screen. They're like, no, he means to do that, or they just don't pay attention at all. But unfortunately, you notice these things. This is the danger of showing you people the in-game chat. It's because I will forget to move myself back. No, he's not going to be put asleep with that one. That was a bad idea. The paralysis meat I can understand, but placing the sleep meat again was not appropriate. At all. Anyway, let's top up our attack up. You recognize Tavo Sho because he has been in many of my recordings hitherto. Across a long period of time. He's also got a very memorable name. Fucking hell, Daniel! Jesus! Like, come on! I've never been so aggressively flinched by dual blades users, or by a dual blade user. You can see my conundrum, can't you? The addition of S was very awkward there. Dual blades user feels a bit weird. Anyway, I suppose it's not all that weird. Speaking English would be best, Doomlink, honestly. Let's all get in there and carve the tail. I do enjoy just sitting here in the warmth and comfort of my own home, recording Monster Hunter or whatever game I happen to be playing while it is pouring with rain outside. It's good fun. It's very pleasant. But yeah, like it's torrential. And there's wind involved as well. But I'm fortunate enough to live in a very sturdy old apartment. As in, like, 20th century. No, 19th century, sorry. Keep forgetting that we're in the 20th century. Yeah, 19th century. So it's sturdy. Very much so. Don't have to worry about being blown away or anything like that. Tavo Sho says that we've done a good job. I'd say that was alright, yeah. Well, I do feel comfortable in an ice cave carving a Devil Joe tail. No, to be honest, the hunters have to deal with a lot of shit. I mean, can you imagine how cold this place would be? I wouldn't necessarily say that their armor in all cases is appropriate for this weather. Maybe sometimes, but do keep in mind that armor will probably retain the cold rather than deflect it. If you know what I mean. Like, it's not going to resist it. It's actually going to absorb the cold, so you'd need some good insulation underneath it, which I don't know they necessarily have, so... Yeah, it's all about the hot drinks. As long as they drink a hot drink, they'll be alright. Here I am doing this again. I never learn, do I? You know what it is? It's because I would have to go from here all the way over here, and then go all the way back over here after having done that. It's just not intuitive. I don't like it. But still, it would be better if I did that. I never dropped any drugged meat. Well, I did drop one drugged meat, but... Want to post? Nah. But yeah, things are so much better now that we are having our room hosted by someone who is not emotionally broken. So we've been able to have a decent live stream as a result. Otavo will want to post. He does like to post, even though he doesn't need anything. I'm going to sneeze in approximately 2 seconds. Not even 2 seconds. Oh, Tavo's posting a 4-man arena quest, presumably. Okay. Urugan and Nibblesnarf. What I should do... Hold on, let me check to see if I've done this. I need to actually check to see if I've done it so that I can select a weapon that I've yet to use. Challenge Quest 10. So I've only used... God, Companion and I definitely did some fucking hunting. We did a lot of arena quests as well. I don't even remember Companion. I don't know who this guy is. Like, who is this? I've got no idea. He was a companion at one time, but I don't remember him at all. Must have been a long time ago. He's probably in my guild card list. He must be if we did all that. Companion. I don't think it was all that long ago. Probably like 2018 or something. Companion. Come on. Are you telling me that I did all of that with this guy named Companion and we never exchanged guild cards? That's very cold. I can't believe it. We never exchanged guild cards. His name is painted all over my arena quest history. I actually can't believe it. Oh well. As long as it's not a greatsword, it's a weapon that I have yet to use with this quest. So let's get out of here. Good beer. I'll continue with some white wine after this hunt. Alright. I will check to see what everyone else is using. I don't want to be one of 2 or perhaps even 3 hunting horn users. Come on. Oh, actually, this is the Baleful Giganox hunting horn. Let me have a look. What does this... Oof. Well, in that case, heavy bowgun. Wouldn't it be funny if 2 of us were sitting there wanting to select hunting horn, waiting to see if they were going to be the only hunting horn user, but we were both just sitting there waiting forever for someone else to make a selection? You forgot to eat as always. Oh, never mind. First of all, I do not always forget to eat. that happens fairly rarely. Second of all, yeah, not applicable. But thanks anyway, man. Really. It doesn't happen that often. What often happens is me forgetting the monster we're hunting, but as far as not eating, that's not common. Happens every now and again, but... Jeez. Apparently I can crouch fire, pierce, freeze, and slicing, but at this stage I don't want to be stuck in one place at all, because... Okay, let's go with Nibble Snuff then. It seems to be what we're going with. Frustratingly, because these ammunition types are crouch fire compatible, we'll say, I can't shoot many of them. Unless, oh fuck me, I don't have a shield on this, so I'm just going to take the hit. Or not! I suppose today I will not be taking the hit. Speaking of not taking the hit, I do hope that Uragan's not going to come after me. I didn't even know the meteor cannon was in this game. I'm about to take the hit, and by take the hit I mean die immediately. Of course, generally what I like to do is wait until I take a hit before using a max potion to get 150 health in an arena quest, but the problem here is that I'm dying in one hit. So, oh god, redo. Wait, how many... Let's see if we can die many more times than 3 times. No, we can only die 3 times. Retry. It's not a good run. It's not that I... No, says Tabo. Tabo thinks that we can do it. It's not that I forget to bring stamina recovery materials or items. It's because I willfully refuse to do that. I don't use them frequently enough, and so... I mean, you have to understand, I don't really have those items to even bring. Oh god, I really should use my max potion. Thank you for that, except, yeah. Anyway, the point of the matter is that I need to be careful. Very frustratingly, freeze and pierce level 2 being the 2 shots that I want to use above all others are crouch fire. Now, it is not a case of me being able to load a lot of them without crouch fire. It's a case of me needing to load them with crouch fire. Oh. Okay, well, I guess I don't have to freak out after all. But yeah, I guess my point is that if I want to actually shoot a decent number of these, I do need to crouch fire because I load naturally a very small number of them. Which is frustrating. Oh god, I need to be in a better position than this. That paralysis was actually very helpful. Oh my god! I'm sorry, what was this called? A challenge quest? Yes, I do admit that 2 of us died, but that's not a challenge. Anyway, that is what it is. Gower's upswinging Tavo. That was actually quite funny to see. Because he sort of flew off camera towards me. Well, I absolutely smashed the record that I had with Companion. I think part of the reason why is because Companion and I were 2-manning. We didn't just S-rank it, we fucking... Whatever is above S-rank, I don't know what that would be, but... X rank, yeah. X sounds like a good letter, doesn't it? I think in situations where S rank is surpassed by a rank above it, it is X, isn't it? I think it's X rank. Can't even think of what games... Oh, I can think of one game. Yeah. Dragon Quest Swords, and perhaps other Dragon Quest games as well. I don't really know how the other Dragon Quest games work, but I remember in Dragon Quest Swords, if you were S ranking something, that was great. But if you got some absolutely unreasonably good score, you would X rank it. So, yeah. I'm sure there are other games as well, but I was wondering what game it was that was bringing X rank to mind, and it was Dragon Quest Swords. A game that I've done 2 Let's Plays of and done 1 live stream playthrough of. Oh, S, 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 and then SSS. Okay, great. That was a Plesioth head for a hammer, that is true. That was definitely equipped by Turbo Show in that quest. What have we got now? If it's fucking Savage Devil Joe. Thank God. I don't know if he is restraining himself, or if he has acquired all he needs to acquire from that monster. But seriously, we can finally do something that's not Savage Devil Joe. That's a good start. Let me bring the Black Diablo's bow. Sarah Cyclord. Yeah. Cyclord. Is there anything I need to buy? Ooh, might buy some nutrients. In fact, I'll definitely buy some nutrients. I'm in need of it. I'm in serious need of it. That's fine. There you go. I've got plenty of money. Okay, maybe I'll get a stack of poisoned meat. I don't know what I have against poisoned meat at this point, but... yeah, I should get some. You never know when it might come in handy. Oh, apparently Devil May Cry uses SS and triple S. Okay. Well, that's pretty dumb. I agree with X above S, and then if you need that many levels above S, then I think your ranking system is fucked. I think you need to improve your ranking system. You heard me, Devil May Cry. I never actually played Devil May Cry, I should tell you. I never wanted to. I never thought it was a very good looking game. It always looked a little bit on the average side, and I thought, well, there are a lot of average games that I do want to play, and this isn't one of them. So... that's, that was my impression of Devil May Cry. I might be slaughtered and publicly annihilated for having made that statement. I may actually have a small clique of Devil May Cry fanatics that have been watching me for a time. But, yeah, sorry, I don't think you'll ever see me play Devil May Cry on this channel. Apparently the gameplay is pretty sick, I'm told by Beta. Yeah. Fully sick, man. Anyway. Now that we've departed, I'm actually I didn't want to keep them waiting, so now that we've departed, I will tend to beverages, among other things, and I will be back in a moment. Unfortunately, it's both monsters at the same time, I think, which is pretty bad, but I'll let them enjoy themselves for the first 2 minutes or so. I'll be back in a moment. I'm back. Well, based on what Peaberry has said, one can assume that Devil May Cry is a rather fast-paced game. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't know, maybe I have been unfair in my evaluation of Devil May Cry. I will admit that I've never played it, so don't take my word as gospel when I say bad things about it. Look, I will not deny that part of my lack of willingness to play Devil May Cry was because it got an anime adaptation, which I quite unfairly compared to Hellsing. This was at a time when Hellsing Ultimate was fairly new. I was mostly comparing it to the original Hellsing TV series from the late 90s, right? And Alucard compared with... I don't even know what the guy's name from Devil May Cry is anymore. I can't even remember. That's how little an impression he had on me. But I felt that he was such a weak, pathetic, little, impudent piece of irrelevance compared to Alucard that I was not interested. It was almost a case of how dare this character exist in a world where Alucard has been conceived. Like, just forget it. Are they what? Is Daniel fighting Rusted Ramboros? What's going on? I would have thought that realistically, we would fight the standard one first and then the subspecies second. That's sort of the natural order of things, but maybe not. And Tavo seems to be aiming for standard, so I don't know. Dante, yeah, there you go. That was his name. See, Dante, that's what he was. He was this edgy young man. Whereas, by comparison, Alucard was just this guy who would fucking kill you and you'd just live with it. Too bad. It was interesting. There's something about Alucard. He was a product of a different era, a different generation, whereas Dante was very early 2000s, you know. That heartthrob, you know. That edgy heartthrob young man that gets all the fangirls squealing. That sort of thing. I'm being just totally decimated at the moment. We have a paralysis, but I'm not really in a position to take advantage of it. As you can see, certain things can allow this monster to flinch out of a paralysis, which makes Duramboros very annoying as a monster. Oh. I do realise that I can possibly be going for the humps right now. But I don't know if that's going to help necessarily. I feel like I might get better piercings through the monster if I go for the center. I'm worried that if I go for the humps, it'll just skim the top of the monster and not fully travel. That's my concern. You want full travel through the monster when it comes to pierce. That is your priority. Daniel has decided to fight. Why are we going back and forth between the monsters? What's going on? This is really unhelpful. Okay. That would be a reasonable opportunity for good pierce, but I'm well out of critical distance. Oh, we've got a good paralysis here. Good in the sense that I'm actually within critical distance and I can quite quickly get in position for good pierce. Young Dante is edgy and a loser, while old Dante tells uncle jokes. Okay. I think dad jokes is the phrase, but still, I get the point. Sounds like old Dante would be someone I'd be more interested in playing as, or having a story about. Just that dismissive appraisal. He's edgy and a loser. Wow. It's not exactly a roaring endorsement. Ow. No. Oh, don't catch me. Oh, for fuck's sake. I knew that was going to happen. I just rolled in the wrong direction, that's all. Had I rolled towards the monster, in the direction that he was charging, I probably would have avoided that, but that was just a very awkward combo. Very awkward. Oh well. Old Dante is a wacky pizza wahoo man. I don't know what that means, but okay. Entering the area with the Rusteramberus in that position almost made it look like he was dead, but then I looked at him and I realized that he was just slightly moving. You can actually see his body moving along with his breathing, which is interesting. You might not notice that the monster, when it's alive, does move just ever so slightly. You wouldn't notice it unless you were actually checking to see if the monster was alive or dead. But it is definitely something that exists. Monsters moving slightly while alive. That's the issue with the Devil May Cry fandom these days. It's all just memes. No respect for the series at all, nor the character. Well, look, I can't really comment on that. You could be entirely correct. Which is to say that maybe there is something worth respecting. But I don't... All I can say is that I never gravitated towards it for various reasons. And so, I have no experience with the games, or the story, or any of that, so I can't really say whether it's appropriate or not for it to be memed in the way that it is, or to be made light of in the way that it is. But I suppose if you genuinely like the games and you think the story's fine and the character can be taken seriously, yes, it would be annoying if everyone just makes fun of it in this way. No, it's not Beta Star. Give him a break. Look, there are good things about meme culture and bad things about meme culture. In this situation, I cannot actually say whether or not meme culture is the problem, or if the story is just something that is naturally to be made fun of. Or not necessarily the story, but the entire package. Is the entire package of Devil May Cry worth taking seriously? I don't know. I would like to be able to contribute to that sort of discussion or argument, but I cannot. And for that reason, I can't very well side with P-Berry on this matter. But he obviously feels that Devil May Cry shouldn't be made light of in the way that it is. Obviously it's good to make jokes out of things, but if it becomes the only way that people seem to be able to interact among themselves as fellow Devil May Cry fans by, effectively making fun of the thing that they enjoy, yeah, that can be annoying for some people. It's just I don't really know if it's the sort of thing that should be taken seriously, unfortunately. Okay. Well, Bread Yeezers asserts quite forcefully that Devil May Cry is not to be taken seriously. So, that is what it is. I mean, while it is tempting to attribute things like that to meme culture, because meme culture does actually take over much of internet discourse in general, Some things were doomed to be made fun of, irrespective of meme culture's influence over communities on the internet. And Devil May Cry may be one of those things, so yeah. By the sounds of it, it's just something you're going to have to deal with. I think the tail... Oh no. The tail didn't break off this one. No, the tail did break off this one, but I think it despawned. No, it didn't despawn. Just happened to be over here, blending in with the monster itself. Yeah, fuck it. I don't need your hard tail. I think you mean respectable bread users. The very respectable series where Dante does kung fu, uses bazookas, and surfs on a torpedo. Well, suspension of disbelief helps, but... yeah. By the sounds of it, it is a little... a little silly. But just because it may appear that way on the face of it doesn't mean that it's a silly series automatically. I don't know. Maybe I'll play Devil May Cry one day. One day. Apparently I ended up having the perfect number of cortexes to make a full stack, which is interesting. I think even the name of the series, Devil May Cry, just sounds so early 2000s edge. Devil May Cry. He says while he listens to his goth music and, like, drawing black eyeliner onto his face, you know. I play Devil May Cry. Dante speaks to my soul and my spirit. Daniel... No. No, Daniel really wants to post Descent into Hades. I guess he has enough confidence in the team for us to achieve a successful hunt with that monster, but I don't... I'm not in the mood for it, but if he's going to post it, I have to live with it. Eyeliner and Bullet for My Valentine. Not quite what I had in my head when I was saying goth music, but it's true. Bullet for My Valentine would fall within that category as well. You know, the whole idea of early to mid 2000s. Oh, I'm a teenager who loves the darkness. And the emotive fucking... I don't even know how to describe it. The love of evil. I don't know. No, Bullet for My Valentine were one of those bands where everyone listening to it thought it was like the heaviest, darkest stuff ever, but it was actually pretty tame. But that's what it was. That was what the fandom was back then. I actually call it a fandom because I don't have the respect to call it anything else, but I don't know, Bullet for My Valentine wasn't terrible. I mean, you had the likes of Drowning Pool, for example, and whatever band made that song, Die Motherfucker Die, you had all sorts of stuff going on back then, and it wasn't good. I mean, to be fair, at least bands like Limp Bizkit had died by the mid-2000s, but... oh, Limp Bizkit, remember them? Can you believe that there was a time when people would listen to Limp Bizkit? It's just stomach churning. Now, they don't fit within that category, I should mention, but, you know, when I think of bands like Korn, for example, I think of Limp Bizkit, and it just makes me shudder. I go, like, I get a physical reaction when I think of Limp Bizkit. And, oh, it's not good. It's not good at all. Because, you know, Korn was a bit of a thing. It's like, yeah, I listen to Korn. It's like, okay, to start with, they're called Korn. that should already be raising red flags. They're called Corn. And I'm going to come up with a competing band named Cauliflower. And we're all going to be like, yeah, Cauliflower. Fucking hardcore, man. Cauliflower. You dicks. Corn. Like, what were you thinking? Anyway, I mean, if you genuinely liked the music, okay. But if you were getting all sucked into the community, I don't know, there's a word that I'm looking for. I guess the group. I don't know, I can't think of the word, but... In other words, the music was only part of it. A lot of it was also the social environment. Corn with a backwards K, yeah, well, it's very cool. My auto messages, okay, and P-Berry wants to know about my auto messages. Alright. These are just messages that I've kept for a long time. Back in 2013, when we were first hunting Brachydios, or when I was first hunting Brachydios, I ended up in a group with these guys who were referring to Brachydios' slime as goop. And they had these funny auto messages for it, and so I was doing my own versions of their auto messages, which were, they found him in the goop, which is obviously to indicate, you know, a hunter has been found dead and he was in the goop. He was taken by the goop. Roll, 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 be rid of the goop. And this is, that's basically a greeting message that I never ended up using, to be honest, but I just sort of put it there. Stygians and Ogre, yes, that's what we're doing. I only kept them there for nostalgic reasons. I don't use my shouts. And to be honest, I didn't really use them back then either. Well, enjoy your Risk of Rain, Beta. And also thank you for the resub, Ethan. What can I use to make this fun? I've been keeping these guys waiting, obviously. Like a lot. I've been seriously keeping them waiting. I should apologize. I might bring a lance. But what lance? I know what to bring. I know what to bring. Don't I have the Lucent Naga Cougar lance now? I know why I thought I had the Lucent Naga Cougar lance. I think it's because I got a Guild Quest weapon, like a relic weapon, in For Ultimate with the Lucent Naga Cougar weapon design. And so I actually thought that I got the Lucent Naga Cougar lance in this game. Alright, I'm gonna see if I've got it. Or if I can make it here. Hidden Stinger. Let's find out if I can make it. I probably can't, but we're gonna try anyway. My expectation is that it's going to have max sharpness, which is going to work rather well with this set because it happens to not have sharpness +1. Where is it? Hidden Stinger. Here we go. Night reigns black. The bride wears black tonight. Anyway. Sorry, that's a reference to an actual goth metal song that I happen to like. But that's the sort of thing, you know, that I'm talking about. Here's a problem. I may actually have... am I gonna make it? I don't know if I'm going to make it because there is a problem here. The reason why I wanted to use this lance was because I don't have sharpness +1 on this particular armor set, but it's entirely possible that I have sharpness +1 on this set, and I do. Fuck! That is so annoying. I hate weapons that have max sharpness, it pisses me off. I'm not going to make that. I'm not making it, and I don't feel as if I've wasted materials either. As long as I don't waste a cloudy moonshard on it, it's fine. I'm going to bring the Lucent Nagakuga Gunlance. Unless that also has fucking max sharpness, which it probably does. Where is it? Don't I have it? I'm so sick of this crap. I hate max sharpness weapons. I'll bring End of Night. That's it. I don't even care. Unless, no, Tabo Show is probably using paralysis, so that actually blocks this option as well. This is barely even contributing to a paralysis. It's only got like 150 paralysis. Okay, what am I doing? Let's go with this. Let's actually just bring the Nether Lance. Let's just do it. Seriously. At this point, I need to equip something ready up for the quest and depart, because this has taken far too long. But yeah, I think that's really funny that that lance was called... What was it again? Something about raining black, you know. The old names of the Nagakuga weapons back in Freedom Unite was so bad. Oh. Again, the one that really made me laugh the most back then was the Greatsword, which was called the Darkness Dark Blade. One reference to darkness wasn't enough. They had to call it the Darkness Dark Blade. Oh my god. But, yeah, it's nice to see them keep with that here in this game, that whole theme. It turns out that Tabo Show was not using a paralysis weapon. It's just that I saw him still using the longsword, right? So I assumed that he hadn't changed his loadout from before. Chicken Decapitator. Yeah, the Kutku Greatsword. That is a pretty good name for a greatsword, you have to admit. The point is that it is a decapitator that resembles a chicken. It's not a weapon that's designed to decapitate chickens. That's the situation. But anyway. I'm not impressed that we're doing this hunt. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm really not impressed. Tabo Show has also decided to use a longsword which is nowhere near as good as the Abyssal Lagiakruz longsword. He has essentially opted for something that's fun to use rather than something that's effective. It's not necessarily a terrible choice, it's just not that good of a longsword. That's the reality. Oh god, look at this host. Holy shit. How bad is this? You're expecting me to fight this monster with that kind of network issue? Look at this. What a shit show. What's going on? I think this is Daniel's fault. I think no matter what, Daniel will end up hosting the quests. Whether it's posted or not. I think that's how it works in this particular game. This is so bad. It's hard enough to fight this monster when it's moving normally, but under these circumstances, it's going to be really challenging. The monster... Look at that. He skipped through 2 animations. I'm just going to leave the area and ask if anyone else is lagging. This is ridiculous. I mean, Tabo Show is usually lagging, and Gao says yup. Well, this is really bad lag. Tabo Show is not lagging. Okay. Well, we may just have to live with it. So everyone except Tabo Show is lagging. What that... Does that mean that it's the first person to enter the area? It's the first person who enters the area who hosts. Holy shit. Even in this game? Because if you'll notice, Tabo Show was the first person to engage the monster, and he's the only one who's not lagging. And I've established that when Tabo Show hosts, I lag. What that means is that even here in 3 Ultimate, It is the first person who engages the monster that hosts it. I had no idea. I had no idea. That's incredible. Wow. Okay. Look, as much as I like Tavo's show, I would rather he be the only one lagging while the rest of us have decent connection. Because it's better to have one person lagging than 3. For longevity's sake, I think we're going to have a real problem if we have to do this hunt with this kind of lag. I mean, maybe we can just put up with it for this part of the hunt, but wow, this is bad. I can't really see what's going on here. Ugh, look how much fucking health I lost with that counter. Alright, we cannot let Tavo's show engage the monster first. He has to hang back. Alright, I'm hosting this time, so that's great. As long as it's not Tavo. Because all of us were lagging, so. Except for him, of course. You'll find that it is perfect now. I had no idea that it was actually based on who engaged the monster first in this game. I assumed that it was either whoever posted the quest or whoever was hosting the room. That's incredible. The fact that it took me this long to work it out is just breathtaking. Anyway. Of course, the quest host ends up being the host of a quest or of a confrontation if it is the sort of confrontation where you begin in the area with the monster. The person who first connects ends up being the person who posted the quest. But that's the case across all games, you know. Oh god, did you just see that? I unsheathed my weapon ready to attack and I just got completely annihilated by my teammates. And I was stuck in place, I couldn't do anything. Lance can be very frustrating, it must be said. Okay, tough. Ugh. Felt like I was the target in that moment. Oh, that is not the button I want to use. Sorry, Gal. Sorry. Fuck. This is, by the way, one of those hunts where you do really want stamina recovery materials. I have to tell you that I didn't want to do this hunt at all. It's too long. It takes too much time to get it done. So it just becomes a little repetitive, a little stressful, you know. Ugh, that was dangerous. I will sharpen up. I feel that unless you're using... If you're using a thunder weapon and it's not a nether weapon, it's probably not good enough for this hunt. That's what I would say. I know Tabo shows using his longsword for fun, but I don't really want to be spending forever doing this. I'm just poking him because I don't trust these dragon orbs. No, stop it. God. And he's going back into that area. Okay. You do you, Stygian, seriously. The fact that that dealt enough damage to almost kill me is difficult to make sense of. Surely my dragon defense is only -10, so I don't know how the hell that dealt that much damage. I suppose he was enraged, wasn't he? Yeah. I suppose at first I thought he wasn't enraged, but he is, so I suppose that's why it dealt so much damage. I don't want to be doing this hunt. I'm already sick of it, and we're not even 10 minutes in, so it's one of those. I just wish people weren't posting it so often. I can do it every now and again, even though I really don't need the event quest materials anymore, but fucking hell. Like, if I'm doing it every second 3 ultimate recording, it gets old. It's really quite a time investment. Alright, let's go and collect this shiny. May as well. I will drink a cool drink, but this is a good opportunity to attack him, so I shall. I shall do so. He's going to pretty much immediately go back into his enraged form, fully charged. Never mind, he has been flashed out of it, which is good. I'm happy to see that. Yeah, those dragon orbs home in on you. They don't just randomly attack. The regular Zinogre thunder orbs shoot in a predictable arc. Whereas the dragon orbs do actually choose a target and home in on them. Alright, let's start bombing. It's just we have to be very fucking careful because someone might detonate the bombs on me. I don't really want that. Come on, get in that trap. Good. Don't know who's detonating the bombs, but I'll do it. Oh shit, I didn't have the stamina to avoid it. Oh dear. To try and keep away from these guys. Fortunately, they're all packed in together, so I can actually find a part of the monster that's not filled with people flailing their weapons around. A valiant attempt, but sadly that flash bomb can only work once. Oh, look at the damage. I'd best heal up. Yeah, Stygian Zinogre is a very cool monster. I think he would have been a good flagship for this game. Brachydios was probably a more sensible flagship because he had not existed in any game prior. But I think a Stygian Zenogre flagship would have been pretty cool as well. This was his first game. But maybe they thought having just a subspecies was a bit boring. You know, it's not Monster Hunter G anymore, we can have a new monster for the flagship rather than just a subspecies of a previous flagship. Which I think is fair. It's not so much to say that subspecies are boring, it's to say that the actual design of the monster is something that has been seen before. In this case, portable third. So, oh god! Fucking hell. There's not so much that I can do in that situation, you'd have to admit. I'm just innocently entering the area and I'm getting a gigantic clawed fist slammed on my body. Which maybe would appeal to some people. But I'm not quite so masochistic. Did I just get some defense down from you? You've got some balls. Giving me defense down in this hunt. That really is destructive to my experience. Not just disruptive, but destructive in the sense that I might die if I get hit. With this defense down in effect. We've got... literally, I am avoiding both teammates swinging their weapons at me and Rhinopolis and Nahabra. I mean, dealing with this monster on his own is enough. This is quite stressful. You can see how small that hitbox is, but you don't want to get hit by that attack. It hurts. It really hurts. Imagine the full body weight of the monster landing on you on its own, and then essentially imagine dragon damage on top of that. It's bad. It's bad news. Yes, the... not just the North American version, it is the... Okay. Monster Hunter 3G had the Brachydios flagship. Everything that wasn't Monster Hunter 3G, which is to say 3 Ultimate, so the international release. That was Azure Rathalos. And I always questioned that. I always thought, well, why? Why would we have Azure Rathalos? Yes, it looks cool, but, well, I suppose the answer that I gave was that the Japanese are probably more interested in seeing something on their game cover that they can't quite identify. It's sort of that anime aspect. Is this like, wow, what the fuck is that? What a strange looking monster. Whereas Western audiences would probably gravitate towards a dragon, something recognizable like that. And that's one of the reasons why, in terms of the marketing, they felt that Azure Rathalos would be cooler. It's a dragon, and he's a very nicely colored dragon. There was nothing about Azure Rathalos that was unique to this game, and certainly nothing about Rathalos that was unique to this game. And yet that's what they went with. It was a marketing decision. But unfortunately not all that in keeping with the Monster Hunter lore, or anything like that. Not just the lore, but I suppose the details of Monster Hunter as it is in this iteration versus previous iterations. Go away. Oh my god, go away. Gao is... Fuck off! Oh my god! What is going on? This one Rhinopolis is just... I can't believe it. This is truly unacceptable. I'm not even going to respond to that. I'm too pissed. I'm too frustrated. That one Rhinopolis. Go away. I don't even care. I will take the hit. I don't care. Holy shit. Come on. Yeah, obviously this is Gao's first attempt at fighting this monster, which is interesting. It's almost otherworldly that there are still people even now who haven't fought this monster. I'm about to put the handles of my controller through my head. I'm going to penetrate my skull with the hand grips of my controller. Getting really sick of this fight. I didn't even want to fight this thing in the first instance, okay? And here I am 15 minutes in. Obviously there's still another, in the worst case, 10 minutes to go. Probably a bit closer to 8, but, you know, we're still going. Is there a guarantee that we will succeed? Fuck no. If people start running out of healing wares, it's going to be bad news. But yeah. This is Super Stygian. He's got health. That's what it is. Gao. Fuck off! Stop hitting me. The number of times I've been hit by my teammates has just been intolerable. Fucking hell. Yeah, lucky for Gao, this is his first fucking hunt. This is, I don't know how many times I've fought this thing. Oh, he's limping now. Wow. That is actually a pretty good run. Let's try to get it in under 20 minutes. I'm going to drop a trap. We'll see if we can make this work. Oh, shit. I want to get him in this trap. There's no point attacking him like this. If he is at limping health, he's not going to take just a little bit more attacking to get him to die. That's not how this is. Limping is a percentage of health. A percentage of this monster's health is still a lot of fucking health. Stop doing that! Stop. Okay, you've fucking flashed him in place to make it easier for you to trap, but you couldn't get the trap down. So what are we doing? We're prolonging the hunt unnecessarily because you're being overzealous. Get him in this trap and get it done. For fuck's sake. Stop standing over there. Get over here now. I'm sick of this hunt. I didn't want to do it in the first place, and yet you still, in a flagrant display of disregard for the situation as it is before us now, flash to get your trap down. Stop being ignorant. Get over here now, and we can have him in this trap, and the quest can be over, and we can all live happily ever after. Well, luckily for him, I mean, we could sit here and say, oh, well, because he put the trap where he did. What? That required 3 tranks? I'm sure you guys are reacting by saying, well, if he didn't put the trap there, then the monster wouldn't have limped into the trap. Well, guess what? If he had fucking positioned himself in line with the trap that I had set from the get-go, we wouldn't have had that be a risk. The monster would have ended up in our trap, the quest would have been over, no problem at all. He didn't have to pursue his special little trap. He didn't have to keep doing that. Why is Doomlink upset? Because I don't even want to do this hunt, okay? I didn't want to do it. But whatever. At least it's over now, yes. Daniel is throwing. He wasn't throwing. Daniel says fun, wasn't it? Daniel is saying this with a full understanding of the fact that the last time this quest was put on the board in a room that he and I were in, I said that I really didn't want to do it because I had done it enough times already. He willfully posted a quest that I didn't want to do, and he obviously doesn't care, generally. Ugh. I'm not taking that. Anyway, fucking annoying hunt. I think that's my 9th descent into Hades. If I have 4 of these Hades skulls, it means it's my 9th hunt. Which is a lot. Yeah, my 9th hunt. Quite frankly, that is a lot for a quest like this. I don't want to do it anymore. Want to try the Brachy event? What? I typed put a, and obviously that's considered a swear word because puta in Spanish. Thanks, guys. I can't even type puta. I would sooner put a gun in my mouth. I didn't even want to do that. LOL. Well, of everything that I said there, apparently puta is what's most offensive. Ethan, you should have seen the start of this fucking recording. You should have seen it. Because, I'm telling you, I had to deal with some serious shit. Untold levels of stupidity had to be endured for this recording to go ahead. And you know, I'm on a fucking... I'm on a short tether. I'm on... I'm a fucking firecracker ready to go off. Which means that my temper is not great. And Daniel is posting quests that he knows I don't want to do, but doesn't give a shit. He's like, oh well, it's so fun to hunt a monster for 20 minutes. No, it's not. It's boring. I don't want to hunt the same monster for 20 minutes, especially if I've done it 9 times, or in that case, 8 times prior. I'm sick of it. Let's give this guy what he's missed out on. What's his hunter rank? 104. I wouldn't say he's missed out on anything. He's only hunter rank 104. He's got plenty of time to experience other things. How very good of you to introduce him to the wonders of boring hunts. Thank you. You've done him quite a service, Daniel. Monsters with too much health that you would only fight for the weapons because you want the weapons. You want a weapon to show for the fact that you have endured the boredom. And what I regret to say is that the Brachydios weapon, the Brachydios event weapon, is garbage. It's bad. At least in the case of Stygian Zenogre. Like, this is the thing. What you didn't see was that the quests that involved the person who wanted to depart on Stygian Zenogre, or on the Descent into Hades quest, using a dragon greatsword and a gathering set. While I was initially opposed to departing on that quest, the first question that I asked him before I voiced my lack of desire to actually depart on the quest was, are you doing this for the weapon? In the event that he wanted to get that weapon, I would have actually gone for it, because I would have essentially deployed some form of empathy, where I would say to myself, well shit, if I wanted the weapon, I would want other people to be willing to do this quest with me, even if they already had the weapon. So on an empathetic level, I would have been able to go ahead with that. But in both that case and this case, that was not an objective. Daniel wanted to do that quest for fun. There is nothing about that quest that I find fun. It is, honestly, unpleasant. I don't enjoy it at all. So, there you go. I'm in the middle of the screen for a reason this time, P-Berry. It's so that you can see the chat. I don't want to be in the middle of the screen during the hunt. There is no good reason for me to be in the middle of the screen during a hunt. But there's nothing wrong with being in the middle of the screen at this point, because you guys can actually properly see the chat. Alright. I don't want to discourage you from reminding me, but the reason why I moved myself into the middle of the screen in the first place is so that you guys can see the chat. Apparently, we're going to do our third Devil Joe in one session. I hope you guys will understand me when I say that I am far from excited. I'm just going to use a longsword, I don't care at this point. I'll use this is fine. Great. All good. Ethan, do you want to hang out after this, or are you at work? I don't know if you're at work or not. Although, if your weekend began on... Wait, did it begin on Thursday or Friday? I don't even know. The point is that if you're not at work, I am open to hanging out with you. Not just open, I would ask to do so after this recording. And that is despite the fact that I have yet to eat today. Got to take opportunities when they come. No. Incidentally, no. That is not what I was intending to do in that moment. No. Yes. Let's buy some drinks of various kinds. Nice. You'll be practically hanging off your chair and be like, "Hey, Doom." That's what I'll get. No, I mean, usually it's not that bad. A gal wants to capture this monster, which is fine. Well, I suppose that gives me time to at least make food today, so that's one good thing. I would recommend that everyone eat. That is my advice to you. Daniel is about to feel what it was like for me to fight that Stygian Zenogre with a lance. He has now decided to depart on this Devil Joe hunt with a gun lance, while there are 3 other longsword users on the team. Doesn't sound like much fun to me. Deep Sixer Devil Joe. 2 of us ended up here. What are the chances? I don't have Explorer, and I certainly don't know if he has it, but... It's very uncommon that in the Sandy Plains you end up with another guy in the secret area. You end up alongside another guy in the secret area. However I want to phrase that, it's uncommon. I suppose it is long, but it's definitely not a greatsword. Referring to Gao's longsword. Oh shit. Was not anticipating that. But yeah, Gao is using the Abyssal Lagu Cruise longsword. It's a very cool weapon design. Most of the Abyssal Lagu Cruise weapon designs are very cool. But I generally prefer to use dragon weapons with standard Devil Joe, and obviously thunder weapons with Savage. Ugh. He's already poisoned, which is nice. Paralysis meat. I'm aiming for the legs here even during the paralysis because at the end of the day, the spirit combo is not going to properly hit the stomach of this monster. It's just not going to happen. The spirit combo is very horizontal. So I need to actually get something consistent to aim for here, which in this case is the legs. Not very good. I think the pure DPS of the team is going to result in a totally destroyed Deviljho. I can sense it. Sure. Missed out on my opportunity to get a proper spirit combo off there. There's nothing I could have done, I was stuck in a combo. That life powder allows me to get straight back into the hunt. That's one of the other good things about life powders, it technically increases team DPS because it literally prevents, or at least allows for the team to... I better ping just for good measure. It allows for the team to get straight back into the hunt instead of taking the time to heal, which is a very good thing. Let's see if Daniel has a Wyvern Fire to shoot off, does he? I can't see. He does. Go for it, man. Oh no, he doesn't. Shit. Oh, I see what he was going for. It wouldn't have actually helped. He wouldn't have gotten a wake-up hit with his heavy shot. He was too far away from the monster to do that. Because that's a normal heavy shot. It doesn't have the sort of range that would have helped in that situation, so... I definitely see what he was going for, but... no, that was not going to work. That's not his fault, it's the fault of the weapon that he's using. It's not... the distance that he would have to stand from the bombs in order to lead up to that heavy shot for a wake-up means that he's actually too far away from the monster to get that on target with the monster. Which is to say that he only would have achieved bomb detonation, which would entirely render pointless the gearing up for a heavy shot. He could have just shelled them and it would have been the same result. I don't think... okay, well it seems the bombs are detonating at this point. This is a good run though with this Deviljho. We're supposed to be going for a capture here as well, it's worth mentioning. So we do have to be careful. He will likely limp out of this area, based on how well we've done. Yeah, that was poorly timed. Hello, Autonomic. Garland's guy, that is to say, Daniel, he's not getting flinched too aggressively, fortunately. I'm sure he's doing what he can to avoid us, whilst also being able to hit the monster. I'll get my trap down. If several of us place traps, then that's all well and good. Ended up in his trap, that's fine. Good run. Even though that was the third Deviljho we fought, that was a refreshing change from the Descent into Hades hunt that we did. And I'm not going to continue for much longer, but I'm tempted to leave my departure from this room for a nice, impactful protest of Daniel's posting of the Brachydios event. I'm going to wait until it's his turn again, and then I'll just silently leave the room in protest, when in actual fact I was going to leave anyway. But, I don't know, it's just fucking event Brachydios, you gotta be kidding me. Tabo Show has disconnected. I think he will come back. That's my expectation. I got 1 crook and 1 gem. Fair enough. Alrighty. This is dangerous because unless I post next, Daniel's just going to post Super Brachydios. Which is a quest I seriously don't want to do. Nullberries, here we go. Super goop, yeah. We'll go with that. I think Ron Money is making fun of me on one of my recordings. It was for saying good afternoon instead of good evening. Thanks. And he just sent good afternoon in the chat. It's like, yeah, all right. Tavo will come back. He never leaves like that. He will always say goodbye, and he's very cordial in that way, but... Daniel, no. No. Okay, thank God he realizes that it is inappropriate for us to do Brachydios, the super event version, with 3 people. Either that, or he actually recognized the fact that I actually don't want to do the hunt, and decided to be considerate of my feelings for the first time. Maybe not the first time in our hunting session. He did make a room so that I would have somewhere to hunt, admittedly, because I had been barred from 3 of the rooms in this online session, but anyway. 3 Uragan. I'll have this be my last hunt. I am 2 hours and 49 minutes into this live stream. What will I bring for this? I suppose I'll bring Hammer. Yeah. Daniel is running Hunting Horn, but I hope that that won't mean that we will in any way... I hope that his use of Hunting Horn will not conflict with my strategy. That is my hope. Tabo is back. As I suspected. His internet really is very bad, it has to be said. Really bad. It means, it's nothing against him, it just means that I really don't want him to host at any point. And if he does disconnect, it is not a surprise when it happens. I would like to see if I can get Exchanger. If I can't, then so be it. No, I don't think I'll go for it. Alright, see you, Peaberry. Thanks for joining me. Outside of that, I will be back in about 1.5 minutes. See you in a sec. I'm back. Ugh. Am I good to go? Do I have anything that I have yet to address before departing? I don't think so. Should be good to go. Tabasho is using the Sideo sword and shield. One of my favorite weapon designs, actually. The shield actually happens to have the same symbol as my necklace, for anyone who is unaware of that fact. I don't know why they used the Manx Triskelion for Sideo's armor and weaponry in this game. It seems entirely random, but that's what they did. So, it is what it is. Cultural appropriation. That's alright. I suppose at this stage I would be more Australian than Manx, but that's alright. Get over here. That was the ultimate failure. That entire moment was the ultimate failure. That was embarrassing. Yeah, see, this is what I meant by our strategies conflicting. Not necessarily to my detriment, but at least to either of our detriments. It doesn't really matter who is going to suffer as a result. It just means that DPS for the team overall will decrease if either one of us is flying away from the monster as a result of one of our attacks. So, it's not good. And I was a little concerned about that, but yeah. As long as it doesn't happen all the time, it might be okay. Just building up KO at this point. Sorry. But you know what? Sorry, not sorry. At this stage. I almost never use hammer, so I'll be the villain. I'll be the villain. I can live with that. Head is broken. I'd like to one-zone him. Sorry again. I mean, I would apologize, but no, I mean, I'm the hammer guy. I reserve the right to hit the head a little more than you do, I feel. And here's the reason why. I deal more damage. But it's true. I do deal more damage, and he's going to have to live with that. Much of his damage is actually through his support of the team with his attack song. Not the damage that he deals personally to the monster. You could see what I was going for there. The timing had to be a little better than that, but I suppose Here we go, we can kill him here. I wish I had caught that on camera. Just that knockdown into the tail cut. That would have been really good to catch, but I couldn't, unfortunately. The flash bomb there, really good. That probably... Actually, no, he would have died whether he was flash bombed or not, but that was pretty good. Evil Doomlink skin unlocked. Sure. I don't consider it to be all that evil. Again, my concern for our strategies conflicting with one another was not purely based on him hitting me, it was based on me hitting him, but... Which means that it's not entirely focused on my experience, but overall, like... If we're here in the moment, and we're hitting each other, I'm not going to apologize for it. It is what it is. Let me now sharpen my blunt instrument. Anyone want to drop a pitfall? I don't have any, so I can't exactly be the one. And quite frankly, I don't know where he spawns. I think it's about here. think it's about here. Yeah, I was roughly correct. I was willing to take a hit just to demonstrate that I was right. But was it overall worth it? Probably not. Anyway, if I had placed a pitfall trap where I did stand to say that this is where he spawns, he would have ended up in the pitfall trap. I just wanted to show, not just for my own sake, but for the sake of my viewers, that I do happen to know where to place these traps, even though I never do it. And I do mean never. It's because I don't have pitfall traps to use. There you go. I'm going to do a spinning golf swing for this one. There you go. Bit of a weird angle to do it on, but... Oh, I thought that was actually a second KO, which would have been quite extraordinary. That would indicate a very good team effort between myself and Daniel. Limping already! When you limp that quickly, we can't do much about it. We have no choice but to follow you into the next area. Bloody hell. That's fine. Gower's using the traditional ice longsword of 2nd gen, actually. Not so much 3rd gen. 3rd gen would usually be the... No, actually... That's not true. I don't think that's true at all. I think the Edelweiss is best for both... For both Freedom Unite and Portable 3rd. I don't know. Maybe it's not the best choice for those older games. I do believe the tail was cut. So I should try to carve it if I can, I just don't know where it is. Where is it? There it is. And for good measure I shall sharpen. Alright, you're placing bombs there, I'll place them here too. I don't really like the position of this shock trap because he's not going to spawn into it. Although he may. My concern is that it's going to be more in line with his head than his legs. And I also think that it should be shifted a little... Yeah, that was totally off. I was about to say it should be shifted closer to my current standing position. In other words, that shock trap placement was abysmal. But we can try to make it work. Here we go. Get a minute. You know, that was thanks to me. More than anyone else. Whether it was or not, I was literally the only person who was willing to commit to that shock trap. I don't even think Daniel was as willing to commit to his own shock trap as I was to commit to it. In seeking to make up for his error. So, there you go. I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, goodness me. Sorry if I hit anyone. To have already broken the chin means that we're going to be dealing pretty good damage to this face from the get-go. Please don't flinch me. Please don't flinch me. Arrgh! Fucker! Yeah, nice flash, man. Absolutely phenomenal. Let's get it done. I knew it. Man, that knockback from that fucking hunting horn in that moment made my blood boil. It made my blood boil. But it is what it is. Thank you. I feel blessed. Bread Jesus. I actually feel like continuing to hunt. I feel fairly capable of continuing. We'll continue until the room feels as if it's going to wind down. Daniel has posted his quest, which means that we have warded off the event Brachydios for a little while. I know he is itching to fucking post it. Again, as I said before, I would rather put a gun in my mouth. And I think, quite obviously, there is another action that follows. This is a lovely shot of Uragan's face. His eyes are closed. He just knows what's coming. He's both smiling yet... It's that resignated or resigned smile. The smile of resignation, I suppose, is what makes it so funny. I will send this to Box and that'll do us. I drank 519. For those of you who have watched me over a long period of time, I'm sure you're beginning to understand just what it means to reach a high hunter rank in this game. It's a big deal. It takes a long time to rank up in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. For people who, the people who are at very high hunter ranks have done either one of two things. They have either played for a very long time and have remained consistent with their play throughout that period, or they have specifically grinded HRP. Actually, again, I have to check to see if I have any weapons that need to be used for Pink Raytheon. Hold on. Nope, I've used all weapons for this monster, which means that I can choose whatever the hell I want. Very well. It's either a smile of resignation or the longsword guy poked the wrong place. By the sounds of it, Atalat, he poked the right place. So, I mean, it really depends on your perspective, doesn't it? Whether or not I use this greatsword depends on whether or not it has focus. Which it does not. So that greatsword can fuck off. We've got the Wugga Wugga. I don't think I have Awaken with this, so nope. We've got Gunlance. Actually, I'm feeling Gunlance for this hunt. This is a respectable loadout. I haven't actually seen the skills, but it's Gunlance and it's Zenoga Gunlance, which means that it's probably fine. Windproof low, speed sharpening, and blunt edge. Yeah, blunt edge. That's just how I like it. I prefer having blunt edge with a weapon type that tends to eat away at your sharpness faster than any other fucking weapon type in the series. Yeah, that's what I like. Thanks, Tavo. Or thanks, Daniel. That was Daniel who did that, excuse me. I would not want to attribute that sort of discourtesy to Tavo Show. Basically what it looked like there was that Daniel was pointing that towards me rather than towards the monster. If I happened to be in the direction of the monster in that situation, that would have been quite alright. But I'm quite sure that Daniel pointed that towards me. And I was incidentally not between him and the monster at that angle. He fucking turned that towards me. What an ass. What that essentially resulted in was a failure to get my heavy shot off, which was saddening and frustrating all at the same time. Blunt edge. I can't believe it. Imagine having blunt edge with a gun lance. I cannot think of a worse negative skill to have with a gun lance than blunt edge. Even guard down would be better. And I don't know for sure that guard down even exists, because I don't think I've ever seen a person with guard down, so that's the funny thing about negative skills. You see them so infrequently that you're not quite sure that some of them even exist. But I have a feeling that guard down exists. Oh, God. That's a thing that I attempted but couldn't succeed in achieving. That thing was Wyvern Fire. I've already done my Wyvern Fire. She's limping! What a team. What a team. If that's sub 3, I won't be surprised. It's either very close to 3 on either side, or it's about 3.5 minutes. But I'd say that that was possibly sub 3. Let's find out. Overall, that was very good, I would say. That wasn't close to 3 at all. That was closer to 2 than 3. 2 minutes and 27 seconds. Very good. I'm impressed. That's a good run, no matter how you slice it. And that's despite being launched in the other direction by my fellow gunlancer, Daniel. Gao, feel free. This doesn't mean he's going to post your quest, Daniel. That doesn't mean he's going to, now that he has the opportunity to post whatever he wants, he's going to go and post your lovely event brachydios. Or else I'll bring... Or else you'll bring what? Do I really want to know? Should post it on 3 ultimate speedruns. I'm not that impressed with it. And furthermore, I wouldn't post anything on 3U speedruns if that were such a thing that involved 4 people. Because that would not be a personal achievement at that point. What have we got? The Face of Fear. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. I don't know what anyone's saying at this stage. Capcom's desire to protect me from bad language leaves me utterly confused. I'd rather be traumatized by bad language at this stage. But less than... I'm guessing he's saying this is shit, but less than buffed Stigi. Well, that's true enough, but this isn't like Rage Match from Try. This isn't a case where we fight one Devil Joe and then the next one comes 3 minutes later. This is 2 of them at the same time in the land arena, and I have a distinct feeling that they're stronger than even standard Rage Match, because I think Rage Match exists in this game. Let me illustrate this by showing you that Rage Match exists. Oh. Hold on, it must be here. Yeah, see what I mean? Rage Match already exists. So, what the fuck has he posted? The Face of Fear? I don't think I want to do this. Because Rage Match in this game is already 2 Devil Joe in the land arena together at the same time. without a delayed spawn. So what's this? I don't want to do it. Look. I don't really know how to respond to this entire situation. I'm probably coming across as some sort of coward at this point. I don't want to do any of the difficult hunts. It's not because they're hard that I don't want to do them. It's actually because they're time-consuming. And that time-consuming aspect is what bothers me. Yeah, me too. Not a big fan. Thanks, Tavo. I can always rely on Tavo to take my side. Daniel is totally of a different opinion when it comes to this. I don't know what that quest was. I've got no idea what he just posted. But I have a distinct feeling that it might be 2 Savage Devil Joes in the arena together at once. Which is so far from being fun. And quite frankly, I don't think that guy knows what he just posted. I think he thinks he posted Rage Match, but he didn't. He didn't post that at all. Not even close. Well, you can post, says Daniel. I don't know for sure that that was 2 Savage Devil Joe, but I can't see any other reason for there to be 2 quests which are double Devil Joe in the arena. Because again, the Rage Match of 3 Ultimate does not delay the spawns, which means that if there's a second one, that must mean that the second one is for Savage, which is really bad. That's really bad. And I don't want to do that at all. Apparently Tambo Show just wants to do a standard Glacier like Noctowl. That's interesting, but not bad. Let's do it. Ooh. No, actually I want to bring Elemental Heavy Bowgun for this one. Just for good fun. Honestly, that was really appropriate and fortuitous that that guy disconnected when he posted that quest. I think that Tavo Show's lack of desire to do that quest combined with my displeasure actually resulted in a network instability that resulted in that guy disconnecting. I'm just going to say that. I think our combined displeasure caused him to disconnect. So that's actually how much we didn't want to do that as a pair. So that's quite alright. I think in the end, all is well. He probably only wanted to do that for fun. The reality, however, is that that was not fun. There was nothing about what he posted that was fun. It was just miserable. And stupid. But Daniel was ready for it. This is fun, says Daniel. Well, as it so happens, you're wrong. Daniel's wrong. Yeah, he is. Dead wrong. Dead wrong. There is nothing fun about that quest. Some people enjoy a good challenge. That's not how I am these days. That doesn't mean that I want to get through the hunt without any difficulty. But if I'm going to be in the hunt for 20 minutes, I'm not interested. I'm sorry, I don't have that sort of willingness to commit to one hunt for that length of time. I'm happy for it to challenge me in that I will possibly die repeatedly unless I play properly. But I don't want hunts that just go on forever. Daniel has whipped out the Kelby deer shot. Okay. Don't you think that's a little dramatic, considering what we're hunting? He's using a Kelby deer shot armor set that I've never seen before, actually. I've never seen someone with a loadout that looked like that while using the Kelby deer shot. Thank you, bread users. Thank you. At this stage, I should also thank the Bullfango for his work. I don't think I can shield that. I just had a feeling, but I wanted to demonstrate that. As I say, there is that eternal danger of keeping myself in the middle of the screen if I decide to show the chat at any point. I have no choice but to take that hit. You have to understand that if I'm in crouch fire, even if I recognize what is coming at the very moment that he turns in my direction, which is almost impossible, I cannot actually avoid that. So, yeah, it is what it is. Oops, I should have actually gone for crouch fire instead of reloading like that. Oops. Oh, very good. Very good. I don't think he's going to last very long. I'm getting that sense for the fact that this monster is having a bad day. Yeah. May or may not be related to the fact that someone is using the Kelby deer shot in a hunt where it is totally unnecessary. Like, that sort of behavior is just overkill. It's not needed at all. Ugh. I made the decision to attempt to evade that, even though there was no way that I could have evaded it in the way that I attempted to evade it. Well, the strategy that I employed was totally inappropriate. We'll put it that way. This is the only set in this particular game where I have and use Quick Sheath. Quick Sheath is one of those skills that really is not worth aiming to get on its own. If you can get it in addition to other skills, and it just works with the armor pieces that you would use in a mixed set scenario, you may as well get it. It's helpful, almost regardless of what you're using as a weapon. It's particularly helpful for certain weapon types, but still, you should never really aim to get that on its own. Especially not in Portable Third, because the problem with Portable Third is that your armor choice is even smaller than in this game, and I wouldn't say that the skills that you can comfortably get within a mixed set while getting Quick Sheath is really going to be helpful at all. In other words, seeking to get Quick Sheath is more likely to hinder your effectiveness than assist in it. It just so happens that this loadout here can comfortably get Quick Sheath along with the skills that I want. It's against all the odds, really. I mean, you look at the skills that I have here. Well, Bombardier's a bit of an extra skill as well, isn't it? I don't know. It's a weird loadout. This is a weird loadout. But it works, and I like it. Speaking of loadouts, I will check Daniel's loadout. I think he's actually gone for attack up. Based on the fact that he's got Morales pieces there, I think he's going for attack up, which is dumb and rather foolish for his particular loadout. Anyway. Well done indeed. Although, going for status attack +2 may not actually assist with the effectiveness of slime when you're using the bow, because it actually doesn't increase your slime value for other weapons, specifically Blademaster weapons, so I don't know if it would actually help with bow. It probably wouldn't, you know. So those of us who, in the past, and I was included in this, that used status attack +2 with their Kelby Deershot loadouts were probably not actually helping to deal more damage with their bows by using status attack +2. Because Blademaster weapons that used, or rather had slime damage, did not reap any benefits through the use of status attack +2. It's an interesting thought. That was a Gold Crown Small, but not my smallest Gold Crown Small that I've ever encountered. As it so happens. I will actually finish up now. That was enough. Well, I wouldn't say level 3 charges would be helpful in that situation. I mean, what you need to understand is that the repeated application of slime is what's most helpful. Look, that's probably alright. Yeah, that's a decent loadout. But yeah. What you need to know, Atalant, is that slime is so broken in this game that applying it that quickly is actually better than charging your bow to get increased damage with your bow shots. What that means is that the damage that you're dealing with the bow is actually higher by way of the slime application than through the bow arrow damage, if that makes any sense. I thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time I record Monster Hunter or anything else you want to see in the future. I shall bid you all farewell for now. Bye bye.